Hello.
It's a whole. Hey, there we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Thunder and Lightning Gaming Twitch stream. I'm Thunder.
And I'm Lightning.
What you
And
were
it
just?
doesn't look too bad. What
Oh,
happened?
what happened? Oh, yeah. No, I think it actually looks pretty good.
It says Cheryl. You know what? I'm gonna change that. It says Cheryl's
Okay.
iPhone. I'm gonna change it right now.
Well, what the stream sees is just half of her name.
I can fix that too. I think I'm gonna try.
Okay.
Right now.
While you do that, what you were just listening to was the soundtrack to Jet Force Gemini, developed by Rare, I believe. Came out today, September 30th, 23 years ago on the Nintendo 64. And as far as it's a game I've never played, but as far as I can tell, it's a case study on how to rip off Star Wars in your soundtrack about your game about space travel.
Did I do it? No.
It just says "ting," but the the thought is that I could
I
I
even
could
like space lightning.
You tried to
Right.
game the system.
Tried
Oh
be
yeah, see if I put the whole word there, are you watching stream right now? If I put the
yeah.
whole word there, there's like a bar of gray that gets in the way.
I'll see it in 30 seconds.
Yeah. I've already put it back to the way it was, but you'll see it in a sec.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh.
What was that?
I just
What
got a. Oh, it says lightning. Oh, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I just got a text from this is for the pumpkin. Our good friend Catherine messaged me, which tells me she's not watching stream.
Well,
But
yeah.
more importantly, she's talking about the pumpkin thing that like I'll get into it once we talk about our weeks, but I don't know I don't know if we're quite there yet.
No, we're not, because even though it says Thunder and Lightning podcast above us, we are going to be talking about Elvis. We're just going to have to do it on this screen because of the Zoom meeting that we're in.
Oh, okay. Well, for those who want to know what is going on in my life, in Thunder's life, stay tuned for the next hour.
Yeah, if you wanna know why we're doing stream over Zoom call, wait an hour. So here's my plan, because you and I have already been in a call for probably 20 minutes.
Oh, shit. That's bullshit.
No. Here's what we'll do. Let's start the Elvis podcast. We'll do the honorable mention section, then we'll end call and start a new one for Elvis. And then after we talk about Elvis, we'll no matter how much time we have left, we'll end and start a new call for the podcast.
Okay, I'm down for that.
So, without further ado, hello everybody, and welcome to. Sorry, hold on. What is this? There's something new on Streamlabs. I'm just gonna ignore it.
Is it me?
Doesn't seem important. What happened?
Is it me? Am I there?
No, you're definitely there. There's just something else that's like, click on me. I have a notification, but I've never seen it before. I'm not going to touch it while I'm streaming, though. I'm going to wait until afterwards. Sorry about that. That caught my eye. Hello, everybody.
Hold on.
Oh.
You just wait a goddamn second.
Oh, okay. Are you trying to game the system?
Yeah.
Oh, no. What did you do?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Thunder and Lightning Cinematic Relief.
This is an abuse of power.
I'm Lightning. Hey, I earned those points.
And I'm Thunder. And you have no idea what just happened, because there's no way to see that unless you're in chat.
Oh, damn, it didn't show up?
It doesn't show up on this. It doesn't show up on the screen, but it shows up in chat. Chris has redeemed Switch. Who's playing? Not how you are supposed to do this one, but now he's hosting this one. Fuck it.
No, that was it. That's all I wanted to do.
Wow, that 2,000 points just for that? Okay, fuck. So today we're going to talk about Elvis, the Baz Luhrmann's new Elvis movie. But first, we have some honorable mentions. Yeah. And I think if you are up to date on this show, we should start with Lego Masters.
I haven't watched it at all.
No.
I
Okay,
know.
that's fine.
Not to spoil my week, but like I was gonna watch it with my family.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
oh man, I'm sorry I screwed that up for you.
No, that's totally fine. We'll just talk about it next time.
Yeah.
Just friendly reminder, just so you know when you get back into it, you're currently 2 episodes behind.
Yeah. No, I'll probably honestly, because who knows when I'm gonna get the chance to do it. I'll probably just start tonight, and like next time
Okay.
Cinematic Relief, we can talk about it, and we'll be
Yeah.
2 more episodes in. But whatever.
Okay.
Is it good? You know what though? Let's get Thunder's recap on Lego Masters. Are you enjoying it?
I am enjoying it. This is not a spoiler. It was all over the fucking
Chris
commercials
Pratt.
for this season, but Chris Pratt was in the latest episode, and I thought it was really fucking weird because this episode proved to me that Lego Masters season 3 got a heavy delay because Chris Pratt's episode was promoting Jurassic World Dominion, which is an ancient movie that came out months ago, and now they're promoting it. Also, Chris Pratt was the fucking main character of the Lego movie, and he didn't mention that once. He was there promoting his character Owen in Jurassic Park. No one said the name Emmett once. They never mentioned the Lego movie, and I have a feeling they weren't allowed to.
Okay. I don't know how that would. I believe you. I'm not saying I think you're wrong. I don't get it anymore. I don't understand.
No, me either. Me either. There was a cool little. The first episode has like a kind of really cool like animated opening that I thought was neat.
Oh, that's
and there, it's like with any given season of Lego Masters, there's a lot of teams right now, and it's kind of hard to pay attention to all of them, let alone pick a favorite. So I don't really.
You usually hold off on that anyway. You're usually like week 4, pick a favorite.
Yeah, because of the fact that there's just so many of them, and they barely get any screen time across the, so it's
See, for me, I enjoy picking first week, and like if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and if they suck, they suck. But like I like the gamble. I like seeing if I could call it. In last season, I nailed it.
You did, yeah. You absolutely did. Yeah. That's about all I could say probably without spoiling anything, because I feel like all the rest of the opinions I have are about, the results of individual episodes.
Okay.
I will, however, if you don't mind, briefly, I promise, very briefly, I want to talk about Masked Singer, because Masked Singer actually, for once, did something cool.
Okay.
So the way Masked Singer typically works is a number of people sing throughout the night. The audience, or whoever the fuck votes for which one sucked the worst, they get unmasked. And then after they get unmasked and you see their famous face and they talk about the experience they had on Masked Singer, they sing again. And he says, like, performing as the porcupine for the last time, it's the famous person. And then they sing. And typically what they do is they'll just sing the song that they sang in the episode again. But what they've been doing this season is they've actually had the person who, so they've had multiple people get voted off each episode this season so far. And what they've done is they have the person sing like a song from the thing they're known for rather than re-singing the song they sing. So the people voted off on episode 1 were William Shatner and Eric Idle. And Eric Idle, instead of singing whatever song he sang the Always Look on the Bright Side of Life song from Monty Python.
That's cool.
I thought it was really cool. I was like actually excited for once on this dumb show. I was like, oh, he's not singing that fucking song he sang. He's singing his song from his thing. That's cool.
I'm not going to lie. I thought Eric Idle had died.
Nope.
Had passed? No?
Nope.
That's good.
William Shatner also with us.
Well, yeah, William Shatner's fucking going into space. He's not even slowing down.
No, absolutely not.
Let me just earn my channel points real quick.
Now that you have to make up 2,000, wonder what happened there. Yeah, and then episode 2 of Masked Singer had the most obvious, like as soon as they started talking, I was like, oh, that's Jeff Dunham.
Oh,
and it was, and I was like, wow, that was fucking easy.
they still let him into Hollywood stuff, huh?
I guess, yeah. Did he do something wrong?
No,
I
no,
know
no.
he's like,
I mean, he might have, but like, I have no confirmation that he has, but just in general, like, I feel like there was a solid 7-year run, and then it was like, all right, man, we gave you enough chances, you didn't bring
right.
anything new to the table. It's been, and I hope you've enjoyed your time.
Well, two things, and I only know these because of this one episode of Masked Singer I just watched.
I'm not gonna make fun of you if you've been keeping up with Jeff.
What happened?
I said I'm not gonna make fun of you if you've been keeping up with Jeff.
No, I really haven't. I honestly haven't. Well, because I'm pretty open about the fact that when I was a kid, I was a huge Jeff Dunham fan. I read his fucking book. I saw him live twice. I was a huge fan. Not so much anymore. But I did learn two things about this person. One, it was Vegas night on Masked Singer, and that's why I think he was there, because he's a big, huge Vegas act. Also, if Ken Jeong is to be believed in authority on this matter, which I don't know why he wouldn't be, Jeff Dunham is apparently the highest paid comedian in history.
Really?
Yeah.
I have in what context? Not in a movie context, obviously.
No, I think in the context of being a stand-up comedian, I think he's the highest paid or the highest grossing or something. He's got the most money of any stand-up comedian of all time.
That's
which is
a lot.
Yeah, I found that surprising as well. Was there anything else honorable mentions wise that you wanted to talk about?
Andor is going just okay. So
Oh, I meant to ask if you're watching it.
It's okay.
Are you all caught up? I haven't seen a single frame of it.
Yeah, I'm on the 4th episode, and like, it's okay. Everybody's talking about how innovative and so much better it is than Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I'm just sitting here like, you're wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like
the opposite.
I feel like the opposite thing is happening, where you and I both really liked Obi-Wan and we thought it was really good, and everyone was like, "Oh, this show's bad," and then like everyone is like, "Oh, Andor's the best Star Wars show ever, and it's untouchable, and it's so good, and oh my god."
Yeah, I don't know about that. Anyways, I've been watching. So I told you I watched Light and Magic, which is the documentary about industrial light and magic. I immediately watched the Disney Plus gallery, The Mandalorian. It's got a very name, but it's a good watch after watching that documentary, the Industrial Lights and Magic documentary.
Okay.
So,
and that, as I am led to believe, is just a like making of The Mandalorian.
Yeah, well, it's got Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni and Deborah Chow, Taika Waititi, and that other guy I don't know, and that woman whose last name is Houston, I think.
Okay.
Essentially everybody who directed the Mandalorian, and they're all sitting in a table and they're talking about their experiences.
Oh, okay. Was Bryce Dallas Howard there?
That's what it is. Her middle name's Dallas, not her last name Houston. Yes, that's who.
Yeah, she's Ron Howard's daughter, and she directed, I think, 2 episodes of The Mandalorian.
Oh, okay. And there was one other dude I do not recall his name, but it's been a cool
George
watch.
Lucas.
No, well, no. But yeah, no, it's been cool. There was one episode where they talked with the actors, and the 3 that they picked were Carl Weathers, The Mandalorian,
Pedro Pascal,
and fucking what's her name?
Gina Carano.
Yeah.
Which,
this is like season 1, so it was before any of her bullshit. But
right.
just like like they're talking about, I don't know, the whole time I was just like, well, I'm just gonna ignore her.
Yeah.
I'm just not gonna pay attention.
Um, it's a show though. I didn't realize that. I thought it was like a because Marvel's been doing like an hour long like documentary, if you will, about each behind the scenes of each Marvel show. So I
Yeah,
thought it was like that, but this is a whole television show about the behind the scenes of Mandalorian.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay. That's so interesting. It's almost like it's almost like Disney Plus is saying like, listen, we're not going to release Mandalorian on Blu-ray. So here's the behind the scenes menu from that. Here's the bonus
Pretty much.
disc from the Blu-ray, but in TV form.
Pretty much. It's cool though. I'm digging it. But yeah, I think that's it for the honorable mentions.
Yeah, me too. Oh no, sorry. I did have one more thing real quick.
Okay.
But let me just real quick see something. Oh, perfect. Perfect. We have 5 minutes left before we're
Cool.
kicked off of this particular one. So I don't want to talk about this one too long. But I did watch another Indian cinema film. This one is called Bahubali. It's from 2015, and it was made by the same dude that made RRR. And it was good. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 90 out of 100, and I think that's a little high. I think that it was good. Definitely not as good as RRR, obviously. But and it's only half the story. What I watched was Bahubali the beginning, and then 2 years later they made Bahubali the conclusion. And it was very. This is what I'll say about it. It had a lot of moments that were like, yes, this is what I signed up for. It had a very predictable plot, except for there was one like reveal right at the end, right before they hit the credits, that I did not see coming. It was basically like this person gets killed, they're about to reveal who killed him, and I was like, and then it's this character, and it was not the character I thought it was. It was someone completely different. So I appreciated that. I do want to explain the coolest part of the movie, because it was some Indian cinema bullshit. So it's like Lord of the Rings, right? So there's these two like giant armies fighting each other, and the good guys, they throw a cannonball, and it just sort of lands and doesn't kill anyone, doesn't do anything, and even the people on camera are like, okay, whatever. And then the people who threw the cannonball were like, oh, it worked, do the thing, right? So what they do is they take two cannonballs, they tie like a blanket to it, like a big tarp to it, and then they shoot both of them at the same time. So now there's this huge like tarp flying through the sky. It lands, and it lands on top of like, a sixth of the whole army. And then my dad was even like, they have swords. They're just like covered in a blanket now. So this guy literally on camera, he takes a sword and he like breaks out of the blanket, and then he like touches the blanket, and there's like something on his fingers, and then it shows the main character who has a flaming arrow, and he shoots the arrow into the blanket, and then the whole thing sets on fire. And then they're like, cool, that worked, send like 5 more. And then they started lighting them on fire in the air, which was pretty cool.
That's pretty sick.
That was the best part of the movie. And the movie was fine, and I'm looking forward to watching the second one, which I'm probably going to try and do before my New York trip, if I have time, but I might not. And that'll do it for honorable mentions. So let's go over. How do I do that? Oh, let's go over here. I'm going to hang up on you. And I think I do that this way. Yes. And now it's just me and the stream. And I think, just sort of wait for Chris to give me a call. And if he doesn't give me a call in a few seconds, I will text him and remind him that, I need to start a new meeting. I need to start a new meeting first. That's how it works. Now I'm in a new meeting. Now I'm joining with computer audio. Yes. Now we wait for Chris to connect. But yes, if you are watching, we're about to talk about Elvis. And Chris is back. I've talked enough. 3, 2, 1. Oh, he's sideways. That usually changes. There we go. That's better. And now I can hear him. And now I minimize. And now we're back.
Perfect. And I'm lightning.
Okay. All right. All right. Uh, let's talk about Elvis.
Yeah,
Not the not the person, but the movie, which is just I'm pretty sure just titled Elvis, right? That's what the
I
movie's
think so.
called.
I think so.
But I guess I'll probably put Boz Luhrmann's Elvis in the title of the video, just so people, just so there's absolutely no confusion.
Sure.
Um, but yeah. So I think let's start how I think we always start. How did you like it?
I thought it was I thought it was really good. There were definitely some aspects. This this guy, along with most people, I could probably say is the reason I got into music originally.
Okay.
Um, and I was really excited to see this documentary, like the not documentary. I'm sorry, this biopic, whatever you want to call it. Um, it's like the first of its kind in over 20 years, and I feel like people are more willing to be more historically accurate with stuff than they would have been in the 90s, like the last time
Yeah.
we may have seen an Elvis thing or whatnot like that. um
Right.
I
Well,
liked it
I think the Zodiac was a real turning point of just like, oh, movies can be biopics can be entertaining and historically factual.
Yeah, yeah. And I liked it. I think they definitely gentrified him a bit, in the sense that he definitely did in fact do some creepy stuff that they just kind of brushed under the rug.
Well, there was that. I know this is not probably the extent of it, but there was that one scene where he's literally kissing every single person in the audience.
Well, you see, that is accurate, but the part that they don't mention is that he had an understanding with his wife. He essentially said, "Listen, I'm gonna do this, but I'm gonna be faithful to you.
Oh,
Like
okay.
it's not gonna go past this." But also, I'm not gonna sit here and slander Elvis, but he just did some like things that in the 50s nobody probably thought about, but like nowadays it's like, ooh, that's
Yeah.
some like, had this been maybe 30 years later, I think you would have been on trial with Michael Jackson type of stuff.
Mm.
Um,
Okay.
that stuff aside, he definitely had, I don't even know, there's got to be a real life term for it, but like he's got that thing that happens to people when they become wildly too famous and they just never grow up. They never have to have a responsibility in their life, so their entire demeanor is like a child. He just,
Right. Oh, especially with his mom, with the whole all the stuff with his
yeah.
mom.
Well, a great movie, and it's funny because it's true, but a great movie to watch if you're looking for more Elvis content after watching this movie, I suggest watching Elvis Meets Nixon,
Okay.
cuz it's uh it's on Peacock right now cuz I just watched it with Pauline, but what's horrifying is the content is pretty much entirely true. Um Elvis kind of gets in a hissy fit, leaves the house not knowing what he's going to do, manages to get his way to the airport, gets his guns on a plane,
Oh,
because he is Elvis Presley. Uh,
right.
he has no clue how anything works. He doesn't even know how a credit card works. A check, nothing. He doesn't know how any of this works. But he just, through ignorant bliss, makes his way to Washington, gets inspired, writes a letter to the president, and says, "Hey, I'd like to meet you tomorrow." Brings it to the front door of the White House, and he's like, "Hey, can I just walk in and give this to the?" And the card is like, no, no, but you're Elvis. Okay, I guess I will take this to the president."
Right.
And it's just bananas. It's like the whole thing takes place in a 3 day. Get those fucking points, those channel points. The whole thing takes place in like a 3 day um, extravaganza. I feel like that gives it's obviously a comedy, but like it gives a little bit of more understanding of how this guy works.
Yeah.
I like
Well,
the movie.
I think that you talking about how there's certain facets of his personality that were maybe left, to not talked about in this Elvis movie. I definitely noticed that. Tell me if you agree with this, but it feels like he's not the main character of this movie. Like, it was definitely the story of his life, but
It's
I
definitely through the perspective of the manager for sure.
well, yeah, that I thought that was really interesting because as far as I could tell, the manager was a not great dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he didn't invent, because this has unfortunately been happening to musicians, primarily musicians of color, for decades before Elvis hit the scene. But he really pulled the old, he kind of Britney Spears Elvis before that was a thing. Any bit of money Elvis made had to go through the Colonel. Colonel had to approve anything that Elvis had or was to make, or what he could do with the money. It was really fucked up. But
Yeah,
yeah, the coolest part I thought about this movie, which definitely was not the purpose of this movie, was the whole his blues background, in like knowing BB King and stuff like that.
yeah,
And like, I don't know, I feel like one thing that gets brushed over all the time is that, and them kind of being like, listen, Elvis's couple of his early big tunes, that's where it came from.
right.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah, no, I definitely thought that was cool too. How it essentially starts at the very beginning. Like I feel like a lesser biopic would start maybe at the height of his popularity or something,
Right.
but this took its full 3 hours to be like, no, here's what he did when he was a child, and
Yeah.
here's what he did. Here's his first performance. I thought that was cool too.
I wish it took place a bit more in a canonical order. Like, I
Did
definitely,
it
you
not?
actually, well, you warned me about this. It takes some weird turns, like in time,
Oh yeah,
and I feel like they did that for cinema's sake, and in like to be artsy. I don't think it was a good move. I feel like that this movie could have been a lot more canonical than it was.
yeah. Canonically like ordered.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't expect Shazam and Black Adam from DC Comics to be such a
Oh, I know, right?
relevant part of his backstory.
Yeah. I mean, Elvis was a '50s dude.
Yeah.
He had
It
to
was just
stay.
so funny. He was like, Shazam and the Rock of Eternity, and he was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" He was like, comics, the Rock of Eternity, and I was like, "We haven't even heard Zachary Levi talk about the Rock of Eternity in the Shazam movie. Like that's such a deep cut thing that Elvis just mentioned about the history of comics."
I mean, he'd be in his hundreds at this point, I'm pretty sure. But like, Elvis would hit up a Comic Con. But like, I
Oh,
don't
dude.
know though, because that dude, it would have been really cool if he didn't die, if for nothing else, to see how he evolved as a human being, because he was so out of it in the '60s and '70s. And when I mean out of it, I mean he was just out of touch with everything that was going on in the world. He didn't like go outside. He thought he was still number one on the charts. And
Right.
meanwhile, he hasn't been a factor for the past like 12 years.
Right. Elvis would have been 87 if he was still alive.
Oh, okay. Not quite 100, but wow, he totally could have been alive. Elvis
Yeah.
totally could have been at Comic Con 2022,
Yeah.
just hanging out.
Younger than William Shatner.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
That dude
makes you
died.
really look at William Shatner and say, "Wow, you look like a 50-year-old dude."
Yeah. And it really puts into perspective how young Elvis died.
Yeah. Yeah, truly. Um Yeah, I thought it was great. Austin Butler, I think, definitely deserves some sort of Oscar. I don't really. I'm not a huge fan of the Oscars, so I don't know if there's like a acting as a real life person reward. Maybe that's just best actor. The
Right,
closest thing
right.
to that. But I think he definitely. I think that dude. I've never heard of Austin Butler until this, and I think a lot of people haven't. That dude like pulled out all the stops, like acting chops
Yeah.
wise. I thought he was great.
Well, him
Um,
and Tom Hanks. I thought Tom Hanks did a really good job too.
yeah, I always loved Tom Hanks, and I can't understand why people didn't like him in Pinocchio. But yeah, no, Tom Hanks was great. I thought the guy who played BB King was
Thought you were gonna
was
say
really
BB-8.
cool. The guy who played BB-8, no, that's Ben Schwartz, voice of Sonic the Hedgehog. That's who played BB-8. Um, no, I thought the guy who played BB King was really cool. There was a lot of like, I don't know. This always happens with long ass movies like this, where like, you know how he at the very beginning of the movie when he like replaced that old white dude who was on tour.
Yeah.
That guy like has been in a lot of stuff. I really like that actor, but he was just like in the first 20 minutes of this movie, and then went away. There's just like when you're going over a person's whole life, it's so like I don't know. It's an interesting viewing experience because even 3 hours is pretty quick to go over someone's whole life.
Oh yeah.
So
Especially
you'll
someone like that.
right,
I mean,
exactly. Yeah, there's a lot to tell.
they've literally made a whole movie out of 3 days of this man's life.
Oh, I know. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, he's done a lot. One thing I would say about Alison Butler,
Oh, Austin Butler.
Austin Butler. I almost said Butler. Um, he at first I was like, he has a passing resemblance to Elvis. I don't quite get it. He kind of looks like him. I feel like there's got to be somebody alive on this earth right now who looks more like Elvis, but his voice was
Mm,
spot on. I mean,
yeah.
he nailed it.
So I have been told that the singing voice was actually him, but like sort of like Darth Vader together with some actual Elvis
That's cool.
voice. So the singing wasn't 100% him, but obviously the voice was 100% him. And I watched this interview only because people were like, "You got to watch this interview." But he was on Fallon or Kimmel or one of those people. And he did all three voices because he has three Elvis voices for the three like different stages of
Yeah.
Elvis's life. And I couldn't tell until he did them one after another, where I was like, "Oh my god, I do like recognize these three voices from that movie that I just watched."
Oh,
That's
you got to
insane.
send me that.
Yeah, dude, it was really impressive.
Well, sorry, I was just going to jump totally to a new topic,
Go for it.
but I really didn't think we were going to get fat suit Elvis in this
I
movie.
know. It was basically like an after the credits scene, but well, I wasn't sure how far this movie was gonna go.
Right, right.
Like, I wasn't sure if they were if like his death was gonna be a scene or like because it was told from the perspective of the manager, so it could have like Elvis could have died
Right.
on camera, and it wouldn't feel like the loss of a main character, like the main character,
Yeah, yeah.
because
No,
this
I know.
really is like as accurate as this movie I'm sure was. It really feels like someone else telling someone else telling a story about Elvis, and I think that was probably intentional.
Yeah, no, I agree. I realized why I changed topics. It was because you mentioned the three stages, and I was like, wait, is one of those is one of those fat Elvis?
No, I don't think so, but yeah, that was cool. I didn't expect that. I didn't know. I knew as much as anyone else knew about Elvis. I guess the blanks that I needed filling in was like just how much of what I knew about him was connected to drug use. And it seems like his entire life. It seems like he started drug use like before he was even famous. And then it continued into that. And then it got to the point where he was so regularly drugged that he couldn't even fall asleep without someone I believe the character is called Dr. Nick, without him coming in and like drugging him to sleep.
Yeah, I mean that's the horrors of show business, and
Yeah,
it really starts with him, and it's a ongoing dilemma. You'd think something like that would get better with time, but not always.
right.
Not always. But
Yeah, it hasn't necessarily gotten worse. It's just sort of like, oh, that's still like kind of like actually happening. Okay.
mm. And I thought it was interesting, especially coming from the manager's perspective, where because we all know how Elvis died, where Elvis died, when Elvis died,
Right.
but the why did it get to this point? Why did this happen? Why are we here?
Right.
And the colonel is like, you people blame me, some people blame the drugs, some people blame this. And and I thought it was interesting, he was like, but it's your fault. He's like, you people want Elvis, and this is what you get. And I was like, that's interesting, that's definitely a cop out, but like I've never thought about it like that. Like this guy
Right.
was a god on earth at the time,
Right.
and like that's a lot of people interaction. And like he said,
Right.
like you get an adrenaline rush from stuff like that, and he wanted to keep doing it. And I could definitely see that being a factor.
Yeah. No, I liked that ending because it was very in character for this colonel dude to be
Yeah,
like, well, it's not my fault,
right.
so let me look at my list of people. Oh, it's you, the watcher. It's your
Yeah,
fault. But I think what that scene is trying to say is like, it was all those things. It
right.
wasn't like
Yeah,
there wasn't one like inciting incident that took Elvis's life. It was the culmination of all the negative influences on his life, just sort of compiling until until his unfortunate death.
yeah. No, I mean it. I think he nailed it. I think he
Did
nailed.
did he really say when he in the scene where he's on stage and he like just found out that the colonel has been like stealing his money and all that stuff? Did he really say "fuck the international"? That seemed a little out of character.
Oh, I don't know. I, I don't know. He could have. I mean, that's the thing is you got to remember is back then there were no phones. There were no, they weren't videotaping the show. He could have.
Right,
He could have said fuck. And
right.
like, then it's
And if he did, the only people who would have known that was that room full of
right,
people.
right, and
Because
like
I was
nobody,
thinking about that. I was thinking about that. I was like, oh, I have to remember to talk about that on the podcast because it was something I wanted to talk about. And in my head, I was like, I can't believe he said fuck on national TV. And then I was like, well, no, wait a minute. He's just in that like Vegas room. He's not. He's not on TV at all. That wasn't like really a
right,
public thing.
right. Well, one thing I really, really liked about this movie is I feel like in the public eye, people love to jump right to the flamboyant cape wearing Elvis, on top of um the the fat and happy king, not even being, just like,
Right.
but like that's the aura you get from that. Elvis is he's already done it. He's on top of the world. Nothing
Right.
can bring him down. But I loved them talking about him essentially like I was watching the beginning of this movie and I was like, well, I was like with Pauline, when he's at the ballpark and it's like it
Yeah, the one where they're like, be on your best behavior, and he's
yeah,
like, yeah,
where he's like they're like, be cool, dude. Don't don't be a cool dude. Be cool, don't be cool. Hey Toga, thanks for joining.
hello,
Thanks for hanging out.
welcome
Uh
on in. We're talking about Baz Luhrmann's new Elvis movie that
yeah,
I did in fact watch with you.
but I essentially just nudged Pauline and I was like, are you ready for him to invent the spirit of rock and roll? Because here it comes. And like when people call him the king of rock and roll, I feel like that's what it's in reference to.
Right.
It's like this guy did stuff.
Yo, but you bring up a good point. It's not like it doesn't go as I wouldn't go as far as to say like people only remember the bad about Elvis, but I will say that like being an Elvis impersonator was like a big thing back when I was a kid. A
Oh
lot of
yeah.
people were doing it. And if you're an Elvis impersonator or an Elvis cosplayer or whatever you want to call it, you're impersonating, as you called him, the Fat Happy King era
Yeah.
with the wings and the suits and the, because I was waiting for that. I was watching this movie, and eventually he got to the international, and I was like, there
There,
he is. There's
yeah,
Elvis in my brain. Whenever I
yeah.
think of Elvis, that's the image.
But that when you get to that point in his career,
His career's basically done.
yeah, he's kind of already he's already lost perspective of the world. He's
Right.
already in his own head, which is cool, but also not cool for a couple of reasons. One, you get the wacky ass Elvis. You get the because the dude really does become a caricature of himself,
Right.
and that's crazy that a real human being like was that. But also, what's not cool about it? Well, what you're missing is the guy who had aspirations, the guy who was like,
Right.
no, I know what I want to do, and here's how I'm going to do it. And,
Right.
I've clearly got a thing going here, and
Right.
I want to be in control of how that works. And
And you can almost, oh, sorry.
no, I mean that's essentially it. And like you don't get the determined Elvis, which in my opinion is the coolest Elvis. The one
Right.
who's like who creates that F the establishment ideal for for rock and roll, and then 2 decades later is like, what? I never did that. I'm
Yeah.
I'm a
Well, and you
good
can
boy.
kind of, you can kind of see, as you called him, the aspirational Elvis. The you can kind of see that version of him die because it's interesting. It reminded me of Hamilton, specifically the musical of Hamilton, in a way, because there's a moment in the Elvis movie where Elvis, all he can talk about is this world tour that he wants to go on that he never got to go on. And the reason he never got to go on that world tour is because the Colonel directly went out of his way to fuck this dude over in such a specific way that he won't get to tour the world. And in order to do that, he made him be like essentially the first Vegas act as we
Yeah.
are to know them. He's a well-known celebrity who just stays put in Vegas for I think it's like 5+ years or whatever was the thing that he made him stay there. And then you just sort of see like that was the moment. It was like, well, if he went on that world tour, things might have been a little different. I think he
Right.
probably still would have
Well,
would have
I think you're nailing it. I think you're absolutely right. I feel like he would have the drive would have been there.
right. And it reminded me of Hamilton because there's that moment in Hamilton where his wife is like, me and Angelica and the kids, we're going to go on vacation. Please come with us. Please take a break. Please go on vacation. And then he doesn't go on vacation, and then he cheats on her.
Yeah.
And that's the moment in that musical where I'm like, if he just went on vacation, I think things would have been a lot different for Hamilton. Yeah. So it really reminded me of that. And I guess I'm just drawing similarities between two actual people who lived on Earth. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. No, Elvis has got some cool stuff. I loved how they explained the concept of Elvis has left the building.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought that was cool.
I was curious. I was wondering, like, because I grew up in the late 90s, early 2000s, so I would hear that in everything, that everybody put blank has left the building in every cartoon. Everyone would always say that, and I never quite, honestly, until watching this movie, I never quite knew. I had inferences, but I never quite knew what that was in reference to. So It was cool that they actually explained that, because I feel like that's like sort of inadvertently become the most well-known thing about him. That one time someone said that about him.
Well, it's not one time. That was how they let people know,
Right. Oh, right. Yeah.
Don't destroy our room, please.
Right.
It's not even in the building anymore.
Yeah. Sorry. What I meant was like there was the one time that they did that and they were like, God, that worked. Let's just do it every time.
Yeah. But yeah. No, I think it was a good movie. I feel like they focused on the aspects of Elvis I've wished movies would focus on more, which was
Yeah.
really cool. You know what I want to do?
What do you want to do?
I want to see if Roger Ebert reviewed one of the Elvis Presley movie from the 50s.
Well, you know how it works. When I Google Roger Ebert Elvis, I'm going to get a review of the movie you just
Yeah,
watched, but by someone else using his website to do that. Hey, look, that's
just
exactly what I did.
which is just stupid. I don't
Let's
understand
see.
why other people can utilize the Roger Ebert website to put their own reviews on. It's silly.
Roger Ebert. It looks like Roger Ebert did a review of 2 Elvis movies.
Ooh.
We have Easy Come Easy Go from 67 and Speedway from 68.
Okay. Let's do Speedway. That sounds exciting.
Okay. Is this what I think it is? Yes, okay. This is wow. Roger Ebert's been doing this shit for a long time. This review literally came out when Speedway came out.
Damn.
This is a Roger. This might be the oldest Roger Ebert review we've ever tapped into.
Exciting.
This is God. How old is Roger Ebert in '68? Like
300.
like 300 or 400, I think. No. So this is a review for Elvis's movie Speedway by Roger Ebert from June 28th, 1968. Chris,
Yeah.
if you had to guess, how many stars do you think Roger Ebert gave the movie Speedway? Now, I remind you and our audience that Roger Ebert is a full-blown psychopath who does reviews out of 4 for some reason.
Well, here's my thoughts, right? It's a movie put together entirely to get Elvis in front of a camera. This movie is I've never seen this movie, but it's a commercial for Elvis Presley, that I can promise you.
Right.
However, it's also probably going to have some pretty attractive women in it, which is one of Roger Ebert's favorite things in life. So I'm going to say those two things cancel each other out, and this movie gets a solid 2.
That is exactly correct. This movie got 2 stars.
Yes.
Mason guessed 2.7 Elvis Presleys out of 4. You were also close, but you did not get exact, just like Chris
Also,
did.
welcome, Mason.
Also, hello. Yes. We were just talking about Baz Luhrmann's Elvis, and now we're going to see what Roger Ebert thought of Elvis's 1968 piece, Speedway. You may not believe this. This is me, by the way, reading the review now. You may not believe this, but I was inspired to see Elvis Presley Speedway because of this week's essay in Time magazine. Okay. Not Time magazine. Essay in Time is the name of the magazine.
Okay.
There were other reasons, too. I hadn't seen an Elvis movie since last summer's Easy Come, Easy Go, and after a week of war movies, Mexican Second and Vietnam, the idea of a nice, relaxed, simple musical held alert. No fucking way I'm going to ever be able to know what movies he's referring to. Time's essay is entitled Time's essay is entitled The Late Show as History. It
just
points
talk
out
about
that
this fucking movie, bro.
Oh, okay. You're right.
No,
Time is
not
right.
you,
The
not
old
you, not
movies
you, not you, him.
No, I don't give a shit what he has to say about the Smithsonian. Wait, what?
No. You do
it points out that the 13,000 old movies now providing TV's Late Show are American's National Museum of Pop Art, the biggest repository of cultural artifacts outside of the Smithsonian. That made no sense. It was also a quote from Time magazine, I think.
Listen, they let this crazy old bastard say whatever words he wanted to say. You say them. I'm not critiquing you. I am critiquing the review.
Time is right. The old movies contain the attitudes, prejudices, hopes, and dreams of earlier years. They recall the hunger for money during the Depression, the era of the great stars, and the unashamed B-Western, golly Mr. Artree, size Pat Burt Buttram. You sure do sing putry. He's losing me. I think he's still talking about the time. Just the other night, for example, Chicago saw Spike Jonze and Buddy Hackett in Fireman Save My Child.
He
what?
refuses to talk about this movie.
What happened? No. See, Chicago saw Spike Jonze and Buddy Hackett in Fireman Save My Child. a 1954 comedy described by the Sun-Times TV preview as a false alarm, quote unquote. So it was. But where else, I ask you, could a younger generation learn who Spike Jonze was? Or that Buddy Hackett hasn't changed his style in over 14 years? These are discoveries not to be sniffed? These are discoveries not to be sniffed at. Speedway is the...
Oh, thank God.
Speedway is the late show of 20 years from now, I suppose. What will it tell the insomniac of 1988 about our society? For one thing, they will probably wonder why we considered Elvis a sex symbol.
Why is he projecting that people from the 80s are going to be shitheads?
Not shitheads, insomniacs. I think what he's saying is Speedway is just okay enough that you would only watch it if you couldn't fall asleep, and you're like, well, I guess I'll throw this on.
You're totally right. I don't know what 30 years from that point had to do with any, but you're absolutely right. Also, he called them putting old time movies on TV, which I don't think was a thing back then. That's actually like, we've done probably 50 of these Roger Ebert reviews. Score one for Ebert being on the right side of history. His first and only score on the board.
I'm glad that Roger Ebert scored one for history, because the next sentence is, for one thing, they would probably wonder why we considered Elvis a sex symbol.
Oh.
He is as respectable on screen as Dick Powell ever was, and his recent movies hold no hint of the swivel hips my generation remembers from the Ed Sullivan shows of 1956. Viewers will also find a catalog of recreations and material possessions prized in 1968, especially by Southerners. Cool. Elvis's films, sorry, it's an odd phrase. Elvis is plural, but also possessive. Elvis's films are quite successful in the South, and Speedway seems to have been made with that market in mind. Stock car racing is far and away the most popular Southern sport. I skipped a parenthetical. So in Speedway, Elvis races a Barracuda around the Charlotte Speedway, lives in an expensive mobile home, drinks pop, and keeps his hair combed. Speedway also reflects the ground rules of courtship established in old Ozzie and Harriet shows. Elvis is excessively proper in behavior with his various dates, one of whom is Beverly Hills, the Hollywood stripper whose charm rivals Bridget Bardot's, and another whom is Nancy Sinatra, whose charms do not. So just this is the part where he talks about women, his preference in women.
I knew it was coming.
He doesn't. Hold on, sorry, just checking this. He doesn't think Nancy Sinatra is hot, but he loves Beverly Hills, which is her real name, I guess. There's a lot of coyness. You locked us in here on purpose, Nancy pouts. Elvis gets his extra key to prove he didn't mean to. Meanwhile, Nancy climbs out of the trailer's window, which seems excessive under the circumstances, but maybe not. At least one of the girls in Speedway is convinced by tape-recorded animal roars and that the lions have escaped from the zoo and that Elvis... Oh, okay. Elvis's trailer is the only safe haven. I thought he was judging this 1968 movie for using artificial animal, like lion roars, but the movie is literally about him playing it. I see. And so it goes, with Elvis buying a station wagon for a poor family and Elvis arguing with the taxman and Elvis climbing into his Plymouth and Nancy Sinatra still desperately trying at this late stage of her career to sing. Damn, lay it on her, dude. Speedway is pleasant, kind, polite, sweet, and noble. And if the late show reviewers of 1988 will not discover from it what American society was like in the summer of 1968, at least they will discover what it was not like.
So Mason asks, have either of us seen an Elvis movie? And I think I have the perfect response. My response is no, but I've seen them all. No, I haven't seen a single one, but yes, I know what they're all about.
I've also never seen an Elvis movie. That was his entire review, by the way.
Oh, that's good. Christ. The guy wrote a fucking book and half of it wasn't even about the movie.
No, I know. I mean, what do you expect?
Something better from the world's most renowned movie critic. And that's what that whole segment is about. My God, does he suck? Does that
Yeah,
just
dude.
about?
Sorry, I
Yeah.
just want to see one thing. Well, I want to see. Okay, so that was one of his. That was one of his really early reviews because he started writing for the Chicago Sun-Times in '67.
Who hired him?
The
Who read?
Chicago Sun, the Chicago Sun-Times
Yeah,
hired
who
him.
from that paper read one of his reviews and was like, "Oh, that made sense. It made
There's
so much sense that we should have you do them all the time."
um, there's absolutely no way that I can navigate the internet
No,
and find that information for you. I apologize.
but if we could, we would get email and that dude's grandson on this podcast, and we'd be like, "Why did your grandparents suck? Just tell us." Or your uncle, I forget his relation to email.
I was literally just about to look it up. I believe Email Eberts was his. Okay, Email Eberts is not famous. So
Of course.
Googling him doesn't work. I feel like it was his nephew.
Yeah.
No, he'd be too old. It had to have been his grandson, right?
I don't know. It doesn't matter. It does.
I don't know. That's going to do it for our podcast, if for no other reason than the particular Zoom call we're on has 3 minutes, and that'll be perfectly go into the next podcast.
But if you're watching on Twitch, don't go anywhere because we're going to do our regular podcast in a second.
Yes, if you want to hear us talk about our weeks and what we did and what's going on and why we're on Zoom right now, tune into that. But for now, we're going to say goodbye to the YouTube channel, to the YouTube video. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Cinematic Relief. The next one, I think, should be on time. We just don't know what it's about yet. And until then, I've been Thunder.
I'm Lightning.
And where am I? There I am. Go watch a movie. Thank you for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe.
Our channel has daily uploads from podcast video essays, let's plays to skits.
Be sure to watch on Twitch. We stream all our video game and podcast content live at 5 EST every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday.
Our intro is by Brad Kendrick and music by Froggy and the Friendship. Link to all that in the description below.
Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.